it's Lyndon again, Director of Studies of SALT, and welcome back to the fourth video of our 5-minute tips to help pass the first. Okay, now we have arrived to part 4 of the reading and use of English. We've done part 1, multiple choice, part 2, the open close, part 3, the word formation. Okay, again, now as we spoke about timing in the last 3, 7 to 9 minutes, this one you need to spend a little more time because it's worth 2 points. Each question is worth 2 points, okay? So this one is very, very important. You have to really study this, and there's a good opportunity to score a lot of points in the exam. So take your time, okay? Take your time, go over it, really analyze the grammar, and we'll have a look at some useful tips to maximize the points in this section. So what you have the word, the given word. This cannot be changed. You have to use this in the sentence, okay? Now you have to use 2 and 5 words, okay? And read this, the first one and the second one has to be exactly the same meaning using the root word. Okay, this we know. Now, what's typically tested in this part of the exam? Conditionals are typically tested, second and third, okay? So when you have a conditional, identify which conditional it is by underlining the clause. It could be the would or the would have been, okay? It's essential to know what kind of conditional you're dealing with. Typical things are so, such, wish, modal perfect, reporting verbs. These are the typical ones. They always like to put a phrasal verb as well. The typical one is set up or set off or look up to, look forward to. Okay, so bear in mind, you'll have a phrasal verb, wish, okay, some reported verbs, always prepositions, and very typical is modal perfect. Now, let's have a look. So we'll take 25. Don't forget to buy some printer paper, Vicky told me. Okay, now we have a verb plus the object. Very typical one. Okay, Vicky reminded me. Okay, now what you have to think, reminded me to buy. Okay, so we have the verb plus the to plus infinitive. Very typical one. Verb plus gerund. Okay, now if we have a look at all of them, we have the typical wish. Okay, Peter regretted leaving his wallet at home. Now what you have to identify is when the first sentence took place. Is it past? Is it present? Okay, once you've identified if it's a past, then we know wish, think of the grammar, wish plus the past perfect is for a past situation. These are the essential things. So take a moment, read it carefully, because more often than not, people will see wish and automatically think of past simple. Okay, read it very carefully, analyze the grammar. Okay, now let's take this one for example. I'm sure it wasn't Jenny you saw, she's off sick. Now, more often than not, when you have a have, you know it's going to be a modal perfect. So, what we have, I'm sure it wasn't, so it's negative. We know it's negative. It couldn't have been Jenny you saw. Very typical ones. Must have been, could have been, should have been. If you've got a have and it's in the past, you know it's modal perfect, you have to use the past participle. Very important. The have never ever changes. Okay, now we're just going to go up a little bit to have a look at the rest of them. Okay, now I'll only call you if there are any problems. Okay, here we have unless. Very, very typical one. Okay, so I won't call you unless. So with the unless, you know it's a negative. Okay, now very, very tricky things. Don't forget, if they use a name in the sentence, you have to use the name of the person. You cannot substitute it with a subject like he or she. It's essential that you use the name they give you. If you don't use the name, you will lose a point. Now remember, there are 2 points for each section. So even if you're not sure of the complete answer, have a go, because if you get half of the sentence correct, you will get 1 point. Now what's essential to remember here is also prepositions. This part is full of prepositions. Even if you're not sure of the preposition, have a go. 1 point is better than 0. Remember, I would recommend 10 to 12 minutes to do this, okay? if you do it correctly, there's a chance of scoring a lot of points, okay? So, that's that. Remember, go over it very thoroughly, and we'll see you in part 6. Thanks for part 5, sorry. Thank you very much.